In this video, I'm going to show you the vibration of magic, show you how you can tap into it right now, and I'm going to show you 3 ways of becoming supernatural, beyond the ego, into a new state of consciousness. Welcome back to another video. My name's Aaron, and I help people expand their consciousness. Now in this video, I want to show you that reality is meant to be much more magical than you may be making it. And I say that because I believe our beliefs create our reality. If you look at anyone that's experienced something in their life, you'll see that their reality is a direct reflection of what they believe about themselves. And what you'll notice is that beyond just our beliefs about relationships, our beliefs about success, our beliefs about abundance, our beliefs about our health, beyond that, there's an understanding of our beliefs about reality itself. So something that I like to show people a lot is to not just go about the beliefs in these individual categories, but what do you believe about reality itself? Because if you believe that things are very fixed, if you believe that things are very hard to change, then that will be a one-on-one reflection that we get in our life. However, I believe that when we start to let go of the rigidity of the way reality works, of trying to understand everything, understanding that most of what we believe to be true is a hand-me-down from someone else, it's something we were told about reality rather than actually experiencing it for ourselves, and it's like then that just remains on autopilot our whole entire life. So when we talk about the vibration of magic versus the vibration of the autopilot mind, the vibration is how we think, feel, and act. Now, the thing is the autopilot mind, we think the same thoughts, we feel the same emotions, we do the same things, we get the same results. Now, that's what we call reality. The solid reality that's equal to our ego construct, which, by the way, you are an infinite spiritual being, having a temporary human experience in this vessel. And what happens is the more rigidity you give to this ego, the more you look around, and the more you end up creating that resistance, or the more you think. And it's almost like the less you believe in your own imagination, what you can create in your life, the more that you just believe in what already has been, which means you're going to create more of it. But in the vibration of magic is about understanding that things are much more flexible. I would say that in a way, what people could call magic could also be like the 4th dimensional state of consciousness. 4D is when things become much more flexible. It's when we realize that everything is vibration. When you think things are solid, things are very hard to change because they're so heavy, because it is the way it is. But when you're able to go beyond the way it is and the current way that you think, feel, and act, you can then go into a level of magic, which I believe is our natural birthright. I believe that many people on the planet are starting to remember that they are infinite spiritual beings, and that in higher realms of consciousness, we have there's almost like no delay of what we think and what we experience in the higher realms. So that's more of our natural state, but when we come here, we forget who we are, and then we raise our vibration to where then things become more and more flexible. But I believe that in general, the more you raise your vibration beyond the solidity and the ego structure, the more you raise your vibration, the more magical life will become anyways. So this is about understanding that vibration of magic. Now, first off, if you've ever read the book Autobiography of a Yogi, I used to talk a lot about that book, and it's an amazing book. It's written by Paramahansa Yogananda. It's the one book that Steve Jobs read every year the last 40 years of his life. It was the only book in his iPad, and at his funeral, he gave that book to every single person that attended his funeral. Now, one thing that was talked about in that book that Paramahansa Yogananda talks about is his experience of being in India, where he was, born, and going through that of the process of enlightenment. Now, he meets many other enlightened masters on his process of enlightenment. And these enlightened people literally could do things that you and I would consider to be magic. Things like teleport to a different location. Things like implants very, very clear, crystal clear ideas in other people's minds. For example, like one of Sri Yakshaswar, who is Yogananda's guru in a way, like mentor, was able to send him a message that said, hey, go to the train station to pick me up. And then the train station was canceled. He goes, hey, I'm not at the train station anymore. And he got the message. And it was very clear, crystal clear. Something else that happened was one of the enlightened masters told Yogananda's mom that she would go home, get into meditation, and that an astrally formed piece of jewelry, a locket, would appear in her hands. That's exactly what happened. She ended up giving that to one of Yogananda's brothers to give to him later on in his life with a message. And there have been many other situations that, such as even bringing someone back from the dead, which is talked about in Autobiography of a Yogi. And these things we consider to be magic, supernatural. How is that even possible? But I believe that the more we raise our vibration and the more we tap into our own divinity, our own realization that we are divine beings, the more magical life becomes. And I say this quote a lot. It's like my favorite thing to say. The more we realize our life is a form of dream, the more dream-like our life will become. Now, the key to a lot of this, though, when we're talking about the vibration of magic, the key to this is detaching from the old ego, the old story, the old person that's trying to understand everything. The ego will do everything it can to remain consistent to the way it defines itself. The ego will do everything it can to understand everything and for everything to be right. For the ego to be right, even at the expense of pain and suffering. I've experienced this many times in my life. Like, well, this should not have happened this way. And it's like not even a big deal, but the ego's like, yes, this is trying to reassert itself. But when you go beyond that, you then have this higher vibrational energy. But you see, every single one of us are divine, and the way we tap into this magic, which is who we naturally are, magic is our natural birthright, magic is who we are at our core. We're just remembering this, and we could also say that fourth dimensional, fifth dimensional states of consciousness is who we really are. We're just remembering this. It's about letting go of the ego construct, letting go of the story we tell ourselves and starting to observe it. If we have thoughts that like everything is so solid and heavy and people always treat me this way and reality is so fixed, then that belief creates that reality. You will naturally go online, find more evidence that that is the case. You will naturally surround yourself with people that think in a similar way, all because there is a strong belief and a wanting of understanding the solidity of everything, versus surrendering to the divine or surrendering beyond the ego construct. Now, magic, the fourth, fifth dimension, is a state of consciousness that every single one of us has the ability to connect to. And in this lifetime, I believe that the reason there are so many souls here on earth right now is to go through this shift in consciousness. To go from a 3D level of consciousness of everything is solid, everything is this way, these belief systems, to go from that heaviness of the third dimension of duality, good, bad, light, dark, getting triggered by the news and the media and all of these things, into going into understand everything is vibration. Everything. And because it's vibration, it's not so solid, it's not so heavy. But our beliefs are what actualize and allow us to perceive of these different things in our life. Now, when we talk about these three different things and three different ways of becoming supernatural, and think about it, supernatural, beyond natural. What is natural? Well, it's almost, think of natural as kind of like what is. If you think similar to what has been, if you think in the same way, feel the same emotions, and do the same things, you'll get the same results. Supernatural is about stretching yourself beyond that current identity, that current ego construct, and understanding that things can be very magical if you allow them to be. If you challenge your own belief systems. Challenge your belief systems at things, I always attract this kind of person into my life. Well, that's the solidity of over here. This is the way reality is. The way reality works is I always attract this kind of person. But then you observe it, and you can start to see that that is just a story. That is just something that happened, but it doesn't have to be something that is clung to so that it continues to create itself over and over and over again. But you see, you have to move into the awareness first and foremost. Now, the first step towards becoming supernatural and creating magic in your life has to do with learning meditation. My whole entire life transformed when I learned meditation back in 2012. I learned how to observe my thoughts. That was pretty much it. If you look right over there, I don't know if you can see it, but there, that little thing on the little nightstand over there, that's a little candle flame. I stare at that candle flame for 5 or 10 minutes, right, 10, 15 minutes right when I wake up in the morning, 10 to 15 minutes right before I go to bed at night. And what that does is that allows my mind to calm down, because when your eyes are focused on one spot, when you're concentrating and you're focused on observing your thoughts, what happens is your mind starts to slow down. You start to observe the different processes. You start to observe the reaction of the ego, trying to understand everything, trying to assert itself, trying to be right. And when you observe it, you then neutralize the energy, and then you can move more into a vibration of being the divine self. The more the divinity that you bring through your body, the reason these, like, let me share this as well. I went to Bashar, many of you may know Bashar, but I went to one of his conferences, and I asked a question. And the first time I went, actually, I asked a question about that of enlightenment. I said, what are the belief systems of enlightenment? Because beliefs create realities. What are the belief systems of enlightenment? And what he said is that there are no belief systems in enlightenment. Enlightenment is about knowing thyself. That's why they say know thyself. Not believe thyself, know thyself. So that is going beyond belief. So then I saw him the second time, like a year later. And I even brought up the book Autobiography of a Yogi and the magical things that people in there could do. And I talked to him about that. And he said that because, and we kind of talked this out, but because they know that reality is a dream, because they know they are divine beings and everyone else is a divine being, because they know that things are very flexible, they can then create things much more fluidly than we can. That we can too, but we have such a solidity and such a belief in all of these things that we keep ourselves in this limitation. They're beyond the limitation because they're beyond the self. They're beyond the ego. They've got into this divine state of consciousness, which we all have capability of connecting to. And meditation, I would say, is the most powerful way to do so. And every single day, having a meditation practice will help you to go beyond the social conditioning of the way reality works and get into a natural state of allowing that divine to flow through. Allow that divine to flow through. This is something that is extraordinarily powerful. And the more you focus on allowing the divine to flow through you, to realize you are a divine being, and so is everybody else on the planet. Everyone's a reflection. But the more you allow yourself to tap into this divine energy, which is you, but it's about getting out of the way with the ego construct of understanding everything. Magic will really come into your life when you start to trust this process. When you realize that everything is a reflection of you, you're much more allowing. The ego does not have to control everything. And because the ego doesn't have to control everything, there's a certain level of grace, a certain level of energy that can then flow through you. You can look at anybody that is a healer and that has an ability to heal someone else, and it's not that anybody heals anyone else. The divine energy flows through them because they are a vessel. They emit off a frequency that then other people can match, and then when they match it, they're in the healed state. That's what healing is. Nobody actually heals anyone else, and if they think that way, then normally they won't have the ability for long, or it's not as genuine. It's allowing the divine to flow through, which every single person watching this is a divine being. You are your own guru. You have all of this information inside of yourself, and your reality is meant to be magical. The more you tap inside, the more you tap inside yourself, the more you tap inside yourself, but also let go of the ego, let go of the ego construct, let go of having to understand everything, let go of the necessity to be right, and to just be in that observation state, to be present to the moment, to bring more awareness into your body. Magical things will happen. Synchronicity beyond what you can imagine right now. Things that you just be in the right place at the right time. So this is one way to create that kind of magic in your life. Now, something else that I found to be very powerful, I was reading in a book that's called Real Magic, is about that of what's called I think it's called a sigil, or a sigil, I think I would imagine, S-I-G-I-L. Now this sounds a little bit more esoteric, but I see how it can be powerful because in a way it's like setting an anchor. But basically what you do is you have an image of some type of shape or some type of image in general. And sometimes what people do is they'll get different letters of something. So if it's like they want to create maybe a loving, compassionate relationship. Loving, compassionate relationship. So LCR. They could make a symbol that has LCR inside of it, and then that symbol could be something that you put energy into. You literally sit there in meditation, you put powerful love energy into it, in almost like a vision, a concentration on the end outcome of you creating that in your life, of you being in a loving, compassionate relationship. And you imagine that, you imagine the outcome of it, you imagine you around other people and them feeling that love from you and you loving yourself, and you imagine that and you put that into this symbol that maybe has like compassionate, loving, and then relationship, and it's like this symbol, and you meditate on that. And you put energy into it, and you put the emotion into it, and then you believe that that is something by doing, you are focusing and concentrating within your own body, building up that energy, that vibration, beyond the natural into the supernatural. And then what you do is, as you focus on that every single day for 5 minutes a day, over time your belief, your vibration into that begins to grow in reality. That's an ancient, esoteric way of going about that, of manifestation, is creating some type of symbol that you focus on, that then anytime you see, naturally brings that state within you. But that is something that you can try. You can try and see how it works. And you can use that for attracting abundance into your life, you to maybe just be confident, different emotions that you prefer to experience. And here's the thing, I believe that we go beyond beliefs into being. It's very powerful. It could be that you just believe in this process, and that then that's a permission slip for you to allow and then perceive of the magic in your life. You see, when we talk about crystals, using crystals to manifest, could it be that the crystals have a geometric form that then amplifies the energy? Absolutely. Could it also be the belief in that process that amplifies the belief in yourself? I think crystals are just a reflection of our own energy. Crystals are a reflection. Our belief in it is also what allows us to then perceive of things around us. Imagine this. There's an infinite number of potentialities that exist around us right now. We are only perceiving of the ones that are in alignment with our belief systems or going beyond belief systems. So we actualize based on what is in resonance, and the vibrational resonance of magic is going beyond the ego, trying to understand everything, and going into a state of uncertainty. So the second step is creating that sigil, S-I-G-I-L, and having that emblem and something that you meditate on, that you put energy into, you connect with your heart. You make sure it's also a vision for something connected to your heart. So many people in the manifestation community are so focused on the side effects. Oh, the abundance. Well, abundance is a side effect of you doing what you love and you being at your core frequency. Relationship. The relationship is a reflection of you being at your core, loving yourself so much that emanates out, that other people feel that, and then you resonate with somebody that's also whole and complete. You see, this is about understanding, getting to your core. So this is about having that awareness. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about here is about going beyond belief and into being. Beyond belief and into being. Every single thing you do, if you do it as if you were doing it for the first time, not bringing the past expectation into it, your life will become very magical. And you will carry with you a quality that other people really want to be around. Because when you are very present and you're not trying to get somewhere else, there's an energy that comes through. And I used to even apply this to my old job when I used to work at Barney's in women's shoes. If I went in and I was always focused on the next thing, my energy was very scattered. My energy wasn't really there. There wasn't a surplus of energy coming through in life because I was scattering my energy everywhere. Even right now, if I was focused right now on what I'm going to do after this, the power gets taken away from this video. But one of the things, and I think the reason a lot of people may like watching my videos is because I get into a flow state when I do it. And then that flow state is a certain energy that then people want to match, or people want to find their version of it. It's just a flow state that's flowing through. But going beyond belief and into being is about not being so intellectually thinking about everything. It's about going beyond the belief of who we are, the stories that we tell ourselves, and then just being, experiencing reality for ourselves. Realizing that if we experience anything, it's because we agree to it. What I mean by this is we have many agreements we've made in the past. Agreements about who we are, the way that relationships works, the way that people treat us. There's an agreement we have made, and that agreement keeps a certain reality vibration going. But when we go beyond those agreements and we start to just be, we start to become free of those beliefs, we start to question those beliefs. And we start to say, I'm going to experience this for myself. Yes, everyone told me that doing this is kind of scary. Going for my passion is kind of scary. I should stay at the job that I have that's very much more certain. But you say, you know what? I'm going to go for myself and see what this is like and experience it for myself. That's where magic really begins to happen. Magic happens when uncertainty is put into the equation. Uncertainty. Because think about this. Something I learned from Dr. Joe Dispenza. When it comes to this process, you think the same thoughts, you feel the same emotions, you do the same things, you get the same result. And that's the known. That's what you know. But when you step into the unknown, you are then in a territory where the mind can't try to recreate the same things. It can't tie itself to what it knows or what it wants to believe. So what you then begin to do is, as you begin to get into the unknown, anything can happen. That's where miracles can happen. So if you want to create more magic in your life, step into the unknown. Do something you've never done before. Something that this identity may never do. This identity is like, I would never travel. I would never go dance. I would never go do this. I would never go do that. Challenge that identity. Go do something that's way outside of that comfort zone. And by doing so, you get into the unknown. You start to expand your concept of self. And as you do that, you find you become more free. You get out of the beliefs and into being. Into being and understanding that everything in reality is about vibration. So if you want to create magic in your life, stop being so attached to being right, to the ego construct of understanding everything, trying to control everything from the level of the ego, and start to surrender in a very powerful way. And the more you raise your vibration, the more your reality will transform before your eyes, and the more magical your life will become. And if you haven't seen it yet, I have something called whatsmyvibration.com. You go to www.whatsmyvibration.com, or you hit the link at the top of the description box below, and you can take a survey that will calibrate your vibration, show you where your vibration is in the form of an archetype, and then I'll give you a meditation that helps you to make your reality more magical. You listen to that meditation for 21 days, I think it'll change your life. It's tailored for your level of consciousness. Plus, I'll send you emails moving forward showing you how to get from that level to the next level of consciousness. So if that's something that you are interested in, you can go to whatsmyvibration.com. You'll see it right below. Other than that, could you do me a favor? If you would like me to make more esoteric videos about magic, about divination, about things like this, could you smash that like button? Let me know. This lets me know, and then I'll start making more videos on that. If you want to branch out a little bit as well. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed this video. Peace, much love, and namaste.